We have new information tonight on what would happen to the killer whales at SeaWorld San Diego if a proposed bill banning the famous Shamu show becomes law. It is a potential bombshell for SeaWorld San Diego, lobbed today by a state lawmaker. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And Tika Milan is in for Kimberly Hunt. Team 10 was the first to break this story yesterday at 5. New at 7, 10 News reporter Allison Ash is live with what will happen to the killer whales now in captivity if this legislation passes.
Yeah, those are the lights of SeaWorld you can see back there across the bay behind me. Now, if the Orca Welfare and Safety Act passes, it'll be a different place for sure. Millions of people have had the thrill of watching SeaWorld's amazing orcas jumping and diving at the direction of trainers. But the splashy show would end if AB 2140 passes the California Assembly.
It's my belief and the belief of a growing number of scientists that orcas do not belong in captivity. They're just not suitable to be kept in captivity.
Assemblyman Richard Bloom says the documentary Blackfish helped convince him that orca whales are too large and too intelligent to be confined to a concrete pool. His legislation would ban shows like this one, breeding in captivity, and transferring the killer whales across state lines.
What we're proposing isn't to completely leave the orcas to their own devices. So long as they're in captivity, they will need to be cared for.
The proposed bill says orcas should be rehabilitated and put back into the wild if possible. But that's unlikely for SeaWorld San Diego's 10 whales, since they now lack survival skills. Instead, they would be held in sea pens, where visitors could still observe them without the stress of performing several shows a day.
This is about greed, and this is about corporate exploitation, both of the whales and the trainers, but most importantly, the whales.
If the bill passes, Assemblyman Bloom says SeaWorld will survive, and the whales will eventually return to the ocean. And Bloom says this in no way is a way to try to take down SeaWorld, which he actually praised for its rescue and research programs. We are live in Mission Bay. Allison Ash, 10 News.
All right, Allison, and that battle could spill beyond just SeaWorld's killer whales. 10 News reporter Steve Fiorina looks at the park's reaction as another lawmaker sets his eyes on SeaWorld's business practices.
SeaWorld will fight to keep the Shamu show alive. Quote, the premise is severely flawed. Its validity is highly questionable under the United States and California constitutions. And it said there is clear bias. And SeaWorld reiterated, we are deeply committed to the health and well-being of all of our animals, and killer whales are no exception. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer is a fan for several reasons.
I think SeaWorld is tremendously important to the city of San Diego. They are national leaders of marine life conservation. They do a remarkable job.
Former labor leader and current Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez wrote, SeaWorld's reputation of treating its workers poorly dates back to its opening 50 years ago. It's about time we continue this conversation about job quality and workplace safety at SeaWorld, whether it involves groundskeepers, concessions workers, or killer whale trainers. A Scripps Ranch man worked there at the very beginning.
SeaWorld opened March 21st.
And John Martin voiced disappointment at her assessment of the park's treatment of its employees.
Well, I think we ought to invite her down to see our anniversary gatherings, and she would get a whole new opinion.
He shared video of a reunion 10 years ago. Old SeaWorlders who have remained friends.
We had a crew of people, the pioneers that were some of the best in the business. Our hearts and souls are with SeaWorld, and we grew up together, learned a lot, and she just doesn't know.
John's memory box includes this picture of a trainer petting an orca and a black and white leap over a woman on a floaty. Steve Fiorina, 10 News.
Now, we asked San Diegans what they thought about the bill. According to our scientific 10 News UT San Diego poll, 49% of those surveyed said it should be legal to have an orca perform in an entertainment show, while 34% said it should be against the law. 17% said they weren't sure.